So I can't just let it sit in there and people get angry at me.
Oh, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just getting everything set up and... Oh yeah, I'm doing the read, so I have to have this thing open.
Don't embarrass our family. I want to hear it all the crazy details.
I want to hear all of the things. I want to know them all. Oh, Andrew. So I guess we should start recording.
Oh, okay. Is Christy ready?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Cool.
So you count us out, Adam.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Yay! So now it's permanent what we're doing. We can't just not be serious.
Everything we said is on the record now.
Everything. The NSA can spot us now. I wanted to say hello and welcome to Christy.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
So
I also want to point out that I think our connection's better this week, and because Aaron is not producing video, just saying.
yeah, I think that's probably it.
And we can say whatever we want, because he can't respond. But he can't edit it, so...
He could probably make us say mean things about ourselves.
Let's not give him ideas.
So how are things in Washington, Christy?
Cold and rainy.
Hey, that's just how it is in Utah.
So
That's how
you're
it
in
was
Utah
yesterday,
and everyone
and-
else is in...
Yeah, I'm in Utah, and Andrew and Aaron are in California.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I met them while I was there for 2 years doing things church-related. I just realized, like, being in charge of things is very strange. I'm not sure how I like it.
I know when you suggested you do it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't.
It's your chance
Well,
to shine.
you weren't stepping up to the plate.
I was going to do it, but I wanted to be more forced upon me. I wasn't seeking for leadership.
I wasn't seeking anything. I
Every time,
also
every time.
also I think Aaron might be like the calming voice between the two of us.
I could see that. I think that's the only time he's ever been described as calm, though.
Well, I think he sees a need and then he fills it.
Okay. Well, we should get started then.
Yeah, we should start doing things. So I guess I'll open us up, which is weird.
Okay, don't mess up.
Cool. So, welcome to Three Guys, Three Questions, where three guys test the limits of propriety through the questions we ask. Today, right now, as of this recording, is December 13th, 2014. And this is episode 15 of season 2. I'm Adam, and I can't say my own name. I'm Adam, illiterate Anderson, incapable of reading, and I'm joined as always by Andrew Walker, Texas Ranger Savage, and amazingly enough, this week we actually have a celebrity guest, Christy Wise from the Nerd Out Loud podcast. Welcome, Christy.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Hey, Adam, did you know my middle name is Walker, or did you just guess that?
It says it on the read.
Oh, really?
It says
I guess Aaron might know.
on the copy. It says I'm joined by Andrew Walker, Texas Ranger Savage.
No, I can see that, but I thought you wrote that. Never mind. Okay,
no,
cool.
I didn't write that. I didn't write anything. I usually
Ever.
write it, but this week I didn't. This week, hold on, we have very special sponsors this week. This week we're sponsored by Mucinex Broth and Opioids. So
I love.
I think Aaron wrote our opening copy this week.
He's here in spirit, and also in reality, we just can't see him or hear him.
I've just realized something terrible. I volunteered to do the read, but I didn't like click on any of the follow-up and feedback links or anything like that. So I'm just looking at it for the first time now. But for our follow-up and feedback this week, apparently about me, regarding my limited vision about time travel. So apparently, Dan Storm said us. Dan Stram, Sturbidu, sent us a tweet and disappointed with the lack of regarding the signing of the Declaration of Independence. I'm not sure exactly what he wanted me to do, but I guess he's sad that I didn't go further with it.
He just wants to know more about, like,
So there's that. We don't have any other.
Would you try to sign bigger than John Hancock, or just in the corner, or I'm going to say all print, no signature. That's how you'd sign it, right?
Yeah, I would have made it really legible. Just
Okay.
Adam R. Anderson.
Some Helvetica typeface.
I probably would have put my middle name too. And I feel like putting my birthday would be a good.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Really throw people off. Just Adam R. Anderson, and then put January 18th, 1991. People would be like,
Oh, yeah.
"That's 200 years in the future. What are we gonna do?"
Yeah.
It'll really
Okay.
confuse people. That way, I feel like if I did that, that would make my birth like an actually cool event instead of just a normal day for most people. Anyway, so that's our follow-up and feedback segment. That's the whole of it.
That's all of it.
You don't get very much hate tweets like we do.
No,
Not
we
yet.
don't get any. And it really makes me sad.
God.
Because if people sent us hate tweets, then we knew that they'd at least listen.
Oh, okay.
But currently, it's just kind of mostly silence.
It's interesting because people are like, oh no, I listened to it. I'm like, then why don't you tell us or say anything to us? I don't know. I'm like, well, okay. So I think maybe we need to be more polarizing because then people would actually send us stuff or agree with us, and then we'd hear them.
Oh,
I
that's
said some
nice.
things about Ferguson last week, and I was really expecting a response from that, but I guess not. So.
Yeah, I don't think that's our demographic. of people.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think really anybody disagrees with us about Ferguson. So. Or if they do, I think our demographic is very intelligent and level-headed people.
Or limited to your mom. And that's not a joke. It really is.
I don't like that you said "or limited to my mom," implying that she's not one of the level-headed people who listen.
I don't know her. I'm not going to make assumptions.
So you guys let your moms listen?
I
No,
couldn't
I don't.
stop. I couldn't stop my mom from listening.
Okay.
How many of your friends know that you do a podcast, Christy?
All of them, but none of them listen.
Oh, so really good friends.
Right.
I think that's kind of the same for me. My roommate listens sometimes, but that's because he knows Andrew and Aaron and me, and so he feels kind of obligated since all three of us are friends.
Yeah. That's nice, friends.
Actually-
Jeremy's mom listened to one episode, and that turned out very bad.
What was the fallout from that?
Oh, she cried. She asked him questions about everything we said. It was terrible.
What did he say?
We did an Ask Me Anything episode, and that's
Oh,
the
this is
one
always
she
fun.
chose to listen to. Like the worst one ever.
Because people don't ask questions like, hey, what's your favorite color?
Right.
They really
They
try
ask
to
the-
test anything.
Yeah, they're like, what is the absolute worst thing that you have ever done that if you told it on a podcast would make your mom cry?
Exactly.
Like, what's something that you could say that would make your mom cry? Oh, okay. And then you say it.
Yeah, if I would have picked out all of the shows we've done, I would have picked that one for her to never listen to. The absolute worst.
So, what has been your favorite show like you've ever done?
We've had some interesting guests. That's a really good question. Some of my favorite guests we had, I have a friend that's a pilot, and he came on when that plane was missing and talked
Oh,
about what he thought had happened. So that was interesting. We have a friend that's a bank robber, and he was on, and he's always interesting.
he must be really good.
Yeah. And yeah, his story is really very interesting. You listen to TBTL, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so it's just Mike Frizzell.
Yeah. He's I feel like we should point out that he's not a bank robber anymore. Like
No,
that's a
yeah.
thing that he doesn't
He
do.
said this time. Yeah. It's not
As
an
far
ongoing.
as we know.
Yeah, he could just be better at it now.
Right. Well, he turned himself in. He never got
Oh,
caught.
like a baller, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the
Uh,
first question is, what question would you not want to answer because it'd make your mom cry? So.
Oh.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I guess I guess I'll get started. Like introduce how we do the show to
Okay.
the show. Now that we had a couple of good tangents to distract everyone who's not a real listener to drive all those people away. Um, if you're still here and if you're new to the show, two things that don't usually intersect. Here's how it works. We each have a question, and then we each answer that person's question. So hopefully we're funny, and if we're not, then hopefully we're insightful, and then if we're not insightful, then hopefully we're not just silent. So that's the order of our
Also,
priorities. Is funny,
also
insightful, and then just not silent.
we're not off the hook too, so we have to answer our own question too.
Right.
So
Yes. And I use that and really just ask, I have a view, and then hope that you guys say good things. Uh, anyway, today our celebrity guest Christy has our first question. So Christy, take it away.
Okay. I would like to know who was your first celebrity crush?
okay, this is a good question. I think I'd go in first, right? So I need to
Yeah.
ask, what's your definition of celebrity?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess you get to pick
Okay.
what celebrity means to you.
So my first
she refuses to let that be turned around on her.
okay.
This is
So my
still on you,
first
Andrew.
celebrity crush, and I think I share this one with a lot of people. And the reason I ask what celebrity means is because this person might also not be a real person, but
Oh,
also
like
might
a
be
cartoon character?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that counts. That counts.
Okay. Because my first one was April O'Neil from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
Like
that's a good one.
like it was bad. Like I think I was the only person in like America that actually bought the action figure of April O'Neil because no one buys the action figure of April O'Neil when you have Raphael or Michelangelo also buy. But and it was funny because I was like so young. I'm like I don't understand why I like this person, but I really do. And that was pretty much the level. That was like the maximum level. It was like, oh, I just really appreciate her as a character and her drawing, and that was it. That was the level of my crush.
Did you
And
openly play with the action figure with your friends?
I want to say yes, I did,
Okay.
but it wasn't like it was just like I want to be April O'Neil,
You wanted
and
to
I'm
be
gonna.
April. So that took a
No, I didn't
different
want to
turn.
be, but I
Yeah,
wanted to
this
make. I wanted to be that to be a character that was important to the actual fighting. Does that make sense? I wanted to hang
Yes.
out more with the turtles because that's weird.
Oh, because you saw yourself more as a human, and she's a
Yes,
human. Okay.
yeah, this is true. And so it's funny because I think all of my other relationships have just fomented to I don't understand why I like them, but they're cool type of thing. And I really like the Ninja Turtles. So
Okay. So
and for
even
the
in your
longest,
imaginary play, you still are a human.
yeah, like
You go.
obviously I wasn't a turtle. As much as I wanted to be a turtle, I wasn't. Um, but
having witnessed the world, I'm not sure that's actually so obvious, Andrew.
really, you think I might be a turtle? What are my turtle-like
No,
qualities?
no, no, no. I'm saying that it's not obvious the human being would not want to be a turtle, just like in general.
Oh, okay.
Not you specifically.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks. Anyway, so that's my first celebrity-ish crush. I don't. Yeah, you just learned something about me, so there you go.
That's a good
I
one.
learned that you're a fairly normal child. But yeah,
Okay.
I think you're right. You're probably the only person who bought the April O'Neil action figure. I had all of the Ninja Turtles. I had the bad guys, like the guy who was like a rhino. I had all those different things, but I didn't have April O'Neil.
Also, like, there were a lot of Ninja Turtle action figures, because I think I had like Leonardo the astronaut as well. Like, I don't remember that episode, but I had it. I'm like, and I bought it, and I did play with it. So, yeah, I think they knew what they were doing. Anyway,
Yeah. When I was a kid, for what felt like 3 years, but was probably only like 2 months, every day after school, my mom would babysit this guy named Scotty, and we would come over and we'd always do one of two things. We would either play with our Ninja Turtle action figures and create this story that was not actually connected to the Ninja Turtles, or we would play like Madden 95 on the
Wait,
Sega Genesis.
How old were you in '95?
I was 4 in 95.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too.
you guys are babies.
I'm just kidding. I graduated from high school in '94.
Awesome. They should bring some maturity to this.
I guess so.
Actually, I think Aaron's older than Christy, but he's not as mature, so I guess your statement still stands.
I pretend I'm 28. I'm gonna keep saying that until no one believes it.
That's okay. When my mom was older than 29 for about 5 years straight, she told me that she was 29, and I wasn't that old, so I just believed her. I was like, "Hey, my mom's 29."
Yeah, I think.
I think I actually introduced her to people like, "Hey, this is my mom, and she is 29," and they'd be like, "Wow."
Did she like give you a? Did she give you like a cookie every time you said that?
Yeah.
Like you were trained like a dog or something? Good job, Adam. Don't worry, I'll listen to your
I don't
podcast
know.
20
I
years
don't
from
know.
now. So.
That's what she promised me every day.
Okay, well,
Oh my goodness! I just realized.
speaking of making moms cry, Adam, what's your answer?
I don't know why this would make my mom cry.
It depends on the answer.
Yes. True.
So my first celebrity crush was Sabrina, the Teenage Witch.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good one
that's a
too.
good one.
Not the actress that played her, but just Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. Because that show, first of all, was amazing. It had a talking cat who was
Mhm.
hilarious, and there was magic, which was magical, and it was just I loved that show so much. And she was a pretty girl, and I was a young boy.
And
So,
that was your
go
very
ahead.
first one?
That was the very first one, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
That's the first one I can remember. Yeah. And I remember after a while, I saw that there was a movie called Sabrina, and I got excited. It was
Is that the one
not
with
really
Harrison
to me.
Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's just
Yeah.
not a lot of magic in that one.
And
And
I
it's not very
started watching it,
interesting
and
to anyway.
I realized there were no witches. And I
How
was very
far
sad.
along did you realize? Like, was it like 20 minutes? Was it till the end credits? Like,
Wait a minute, where's the cat?
Where's Salem? I was like, is Harrison Ford Salem? Is that?
he gets turned into
No,
a cat.
To a man.
it was probably like 15 minutes.
People don't know is that movie is actually an origin story for Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Harrison Ford actually turns into the cat and becomes funny. And yeah,
That's the only connection that you can make to
that's
it.
the only connection I can think of. Because I
haven't
realized
seen-
I haven't seen that movie in a long time, so that's the only part about the movie I remember.
I've never even seen the whole thing because I was just so disappointed that it wasn't about witches that I never came back to it.
Awesome. But no, I agree with that, Adam. That's a worthy celebrity crush, I think.
Yeah.
Was it Melissa Joan Hart?
And
Yeah,
she
that's
was
her
a real
name.
girl.
Yeah, she's a real person too.
Yeah.
Not
She's
as
not
much
a
magic.
fiction.
She's not a caricature with ink and drawing and. Okay, anyway.
Okay, I am. I've sufficiently embarrassed myself, and I think Andrew has too. So, what's your answer, Christy?
Han Solo.
Oh, that's the right answer too. Like, like, I'm a heterosexual man, but Han Solo is awesome.
Right? It was amazing. I think I was, oh gosh, like 2 or 3 when the movie came out, but it was later on. Um, and I mean, he was just amazing. He was funny. He talked back to people. He had the Millennium Falcon. Come on, what's not to love?
He shot Greedo. It was just amazing.
Yes, exactly. The only thing that I wished is that he had a lightsaber. Other than that,
Yes, I
perfect.
was thinking
I
about
think
that
he's
too
cooler
because
without a lightsaber, though.
That's true.
well, in retrospect, but as a kid, I was like,
Okay,
I really like Han Solo and I really like Luke, but I'm gonna go with Luke because he got a lightsaber. And that was like the only thing that was better.
that's
Right.
true.
But he's
I
whiny.
Yeah, but when I
I
was like 5, I was too. So
True, true.
isn't it crazy how like as kids we judged the world so very differently from how we do it now?
I think that's why
Yes.
they're
Like
kids.
I saw I saw the Force Unleashed trailer, and I saw that tri lightsaber thing, and then everybody's just arguing about how impractical it is or whatever. But I look at that and I think, if I was 10 or 11, I would think that was just the coolest thing. Like 10 or 11
Yeah.
year old
I think it's
would
the
love
coolest
that
thing.
so much.
I think it's pretty cool still. So what does that say about
Exactly.
me?
It means you're
I
still a
think
kid at heart,
I saw my
and
oh,
there's
go
still
ahead,
wonder
sorry.
in the world.
Oh, okay.
I think I saw myself as Princess Leia, so I knew that I could just see the tension growing between them, so I knew that Han was the way to go.
No, I like on a daily basis when I leave the house, I'm like, am I Han Solo enough today to leave the house? Like that's like my judge of manhood now.
Yes,
It's like so that's my personal journey is being more solo.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try.
That's not a bad choice, Christy. That's a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so
plus,
I guess it's my turn, right? For the
yeah, it's
question.
your question is up next, Andrew.
Okay, so technically I didn't pick this question, Aaron did, but because of Aaron's sickness. So, okay, what is the closest you've come to dying? Adam.
So when I was either a sophomore or a junior. So to make Christy feel old, this was in 2007 or 2008.
Oh God.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
I was
there
well out of
was,
high school then.
and I was in my algebra class, and I remember we were doing math, and I was very upset because math is one of the worst things just basically ever. And all of a sudden, just the worst announcement in the entire world came over the intercom, and it was the principal, and he was just like, "Get to your tornado stations. This is not a drill."
Okay, by the way, Tornado Stations is my new band name. Just okay, keep going. Tornado Stations.
Okay, so I mean, it wasn't even like raining at that point. It was just kind of cloudy, and we hear this announcement come over the intercom that we need to get to our tornado stations. And I specifically remember in that moment thinking I would rather be doing math than having to go to this tornado shelter. And so we go downstairs. We hurry down the stairs, and we all get to the spot where we're supposed to go. And so we get to where we think we're supposed to be, and there's somebody else there. And so we do it to this different wall, because in school you're just supposed to like get up against the wall and put a book on your head because that's going to save you, of course. And so we get to this wall that's just like an interior wall. It's not like load bearing or anything, and it's just separating the hallway from the library, like the cafeteria from the library. And
It's
so
just
it's
like a
not like.
prayer and a dream is keeping you safe right
Yes,
now.
totally.
And I get up against this wall and I put a book on my head and I look to the right and there's just this big bay of windows to my right,
Oh,
just
jeez.
leading to an outside courtyard. And I was like, this is not the place we're supposed to be.
That's like the coolest way to
And
die in
I
a tornado, though.
just sitting in the assistant principal was just, except for this next part, the assistant principal was just a big old bucket of a man, and he was sprinting through the hallways, going "Osh, osh, osh." I don't know like what he was running from exactly, but he was just running through the corridors.
Like an action movie,
I
like the
don't know what
tornado
he
is
was.
right behind him.
I don't know what he was running from or what he was running towards. I'm not really sure. But then I specifically remember the sound that the tornado make because it ended up going just across the street from the school. And I remember the sound. Like a lot of people say that tornadoes sound like freight trains. In my experience, it didn't. It just sounded like this big, angry wind that wanted you to die. And so it just went across the street, and then once it passed, it was just really quiet, and like the sun came back out. I remember the sun coming back out. I don't know if it actually did, but that's what I remember. And then that was that. And we went upstairs and we looked out the window, and there across the street there were houses that were just completely leveled. It was very scary.
I have
But did you
questions.
almost die? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
A tornado almost hit my school. Yes, I almost died.
I don't know.
Where
I
were
call
you
no way.
living?
I was like 100 yards away from dying. That was in Kentucky.
Kentucky. Okay.
Mhm.
Was this your first tornado that you had been through?
This is the first and only one, and I don't really want to repeat the experience.
I I don't know about almost dying. I lived in Omaha and went through tornadoes all the time.
What? Okay, whatever. Fine. I didn't almost die. I was completely fine. I was never scared at all.
Don't be
There was hardly
scared,
even a
guys.
tornado.
No, it is scary.
I've never.
The
Fine.
The,
Fine.
sirens
I've
going
never
off.
almost. I've been
the
completely safe
question
my whole
isn't.
life.
The question isn't when were you the scaredest. It was when you almost died. Because I think I
I feel
almost
like
die on a daily basis just driving to work, but I'm not scared of it. It's just life.
yeah, but that also doesn't make a good story. Like, oh yeah, I almost died this one time because I was driving, and this is Utah, and everybody sucks at driving.
Yeah, they do. I don't know. I just said that. I
But
disagreed.
that's not a good story. So I went with the tornado thing. But I mean, if you want to deconstruct it, that's your prerogative.
I think we need to recreate it though, because I can't imagine it. So we're gonna hire actors and we're gonna recreate the whole thing, use special effects just so I can see it. So as we talk about it, we can have a video
Mhm.
play, like the
Or how
Ken's
about
Burn documentary.
just now you get under there and put a book on your head and we'll see if you're scared.
No,
Oh,
I like the reenactment thing. Could we get
okay.
Harrison Ford from his Han Solo days to play me?
Well, I thought he would be the vice principal at this point.
Yeah.
No, the vice principal was just a massive, like walrus man.
Okay.
It was my
His
John
turn.
Goodman.
steps were thundering. John Goodman could play it. Yeah.
So I have a
Yeah.
question. What is a tornado station? Like, what does that?
It's just a spot against a wall where you're supposed to put a book on your head.
It's kind of like when you had fire drills and you would practice and your class would have to go out and have a certain spot outside. That's
Oh,
where they
okay.
have tornadoes, same thing.
Yeah, or like
We have
when you have
earthquake
an
drills
earth,
here in
earthquake
California.
drill. It's like that, except you don't get under your desk. You get next to a wall,
I think against the wall is still probably
preferably
safer
a
than
straw.
under your desk.
Not by a bunch of windows though. That
Well,
just
yeah.
seemed not okay.
Yeah, I distinctly remember thinking like, this is a bad place for me to be.
This book is not going to be a match for those windows.
Yeah, I was like, if I don't get crushed to death, I'm just gonna bleed out from all these lacerations I'm gonna get.
Oh, but think how cool
But
that
I mean,
would
I
be.
didn't almost die, apparently.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You're fine.
No, you
You
were
didn't even
fine.
get hurt. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, like when there's a tornado coming, it's kind of like a binary situation. Like you either come out fine or you're dead.
Hmm.
You can say that about
There's no
anything, though.
like.
You you could say every
But I mean,
morning, like,
there are
I could
situations.
either die in my sleep or wake up in the morning. Oh, okay.
But like there are situations where you can almost die and get hurt, but just not to the point of death.
Oh, okay. I
The
understand what you mean.
tornado is not one of those situations. It's a you die or you don't.
What about the Wizard of Oz?
Anyway,
She lived. She got transported to.
um,
Her whole house got picked up. She was fine.
I guess
the thing
technically.
about the Wizard of Oz, though,
Uh
the thing
huh.
about the Wizard of Oz, though, was that it's made up.
No, see, that's the thing. That's what they want you to believe. It's not. What happened is she got in
A
a
true
coma
story.
by getting hit, and she imagined all of it. That part's fake, but the tornado part's real. Look it up. Know your literature, Adam. English major, Adam.
I wish I wish I could have coma dreams that are that cool.
I think everyone does. That has
Well, why
comas
would you
anyway.
want to have a coma? That's the first
Well, I
step.
don't want to have a coma, but
Oh.
if I was in a coma, I would like to have a cool coma dream like the
Okay.
Wizard of Oz.
Okay, Coma
It's just
Dream,
like
also my
making.
band name.
Yes.
It's gonna be like
Is
The
this
Cure,
podcast?
but modern.
Is this podcast just a vehicle for you to think up band names?
I don't need any help thinking of band names. Spend 90% of my free time is sitting thinking of band names. Of bands I'm not even going to start, but just that I have.
You need to have a Twitter feed just for that.
Band names. I probably could
Mhm.
fill it up. I might
Yeah,
do
we
that.
we have we have a bad track record with getting Andrew to tweet things, though.
You wanted me to make fun of a person that's actually a sweet guy on the internet that I'm only going to know for the next week.
We wanted
I don't
we
agree
didn't
with
we
him.
didn't want to make fun of him. We wanted to observe and marvel.
He hasn't done anything too funny lately anyway.
Oh, all right, whatever. Well, I don't have anything else to say about that.
Okay. I think
So-
it's Chrissy's turn.
It's
My
Christy's turn to
Okay.
answer Andrew's question, which was written by Aaron.
Okay. So my first year of college, I went to community college and I was living with my parents, and they had decided to repaint the house, so they power washed it. And I woke up the next morning and it looked like bites all over me. And I went in, I was very sick, and I went to the doctor, and it turned out that I had 65 spider bites all over me. It was terrible. And that I had staph infection. So
You'd have to at that point.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh.
I was bedridden for 4 days. I had a temperature. I couldn't walk, and they wanted me to go to the hospital, but I'm deathly afraid of doctors and shots and needles, so I didn't go. And had to be observed, and I actually flunked out of that quarter of school. So that's the closest.
I feel like the school probably should have made an exception for you
Right?
in some way.
I know. It was during finals week.
But also, I'm starting to understand why you took exception to my tornado story, saying that I almost didn't die. Because you got a lot closer than I did, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it still isn't that close, but
So let me ask you a question, Christy.
Mhm.
After 10 spider bites, why didn't you notice?
it all happened in one night.
Oh, like you're asleep?
Yeah, like they think that
Oh.
the power washing of the house made a nest of spiders come in.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, we have these like wolf spiders, these really big brown gross ones,
Ooh.
and they just probably fed on me that night.
You're probably delicious.
Well, I'm just sad that I'm not Spider-Man now.
That's what I was about to say. Like, you should get some
He
payoff
only
for
had
that.
one bite.
I know. Like, what are the chances of 65 spiders all biting you and not one of them being radioactive?
Exactly.
So here's the
up there.
thing: was it like a bunch of spiders that bit you, or just one really angry, aggressive
One
spider?
really angry, hungry spider. I don't know, because can you imagine if I woke up and just saw
Oh,
like, I can't, it's so gross.
Oh, and
I would
saw the
probably never
spider.
sleep. I would probably never sleep again. Just it
Yeah.
would just not happen. I would just be tired all the time. I'm like, I'm not going to sleep. There's spiders. Spiders get me when I'm asleep. I can't sleep.
Right.
Uh, you mean if you woke up and saw the spider? I thought you were just going to
Yes.
say, can you imagine if I woke up? It's like, yes.
No,
Yes, I
yeah,
can.
like every single day since then. No, if I woke up when it was happening, it would be
Oh,
like I was at Las Vegas buffet or something to a
yeah.
family of spiders.
But you might
So
get
are
the
you
chance
afraid?
to, like,
Are you
smash
afraid
it.
of spiders now?
No, isn't that weird?
No, that's like your superpower now. You're not afraid of spiders
I guess
because I
so.
lived.
Yeah.
You're
Here's
like,
here's the thing though. I am afraid of tornadoes. So there's that. I
Yeah,
mean,
but all
if
natural
we're gonna
disasters are scary.
yeah, it's true.
yeah.
I can't think of one.
I
The
think
very nature of the name disaster, they're probably pretty scary.
yeah. Also, I feel like you had 65 spider bites.
Hmm.
I feel like 65 spider bites could be the name of something. Maybe not a something.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
of like
like
Andrew,
first
what do
people.
you
a,
think?
a horror movie done by Rob Zombie.
Yes.
That's the name of it. 65 spider bites.
Yeah. So you said that you were afraid of doctors. Why are you afraid
Yes.
of doctors and
I don't.
hospitals?
I'm deathly afraid of needles, like a phobia. So when I have to go to the doctor,
Oh.
they give me a prescription for Valium, and someone has to drive me, and I take the
Mhm.
Valium, and I'm able to get a blood test that way.
You just really
Wow.
like Valium, is what it is.
Well, that's you.
let's, let's be honest, it's pretty awesome. Anyway,
It
I've
is
heard
pretty awesome.
robbing banks is a good way to get cash for prescription medication.
Yes. That too.
when you want to perform two crimes in one day, robbing banks for Valium,
Hmm.
You could
awesome.
probably just cut it down to one though and rob a bank of Valium.
Oh
Do they keep
yes. Are
Valium in
there those
banks?
things? Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess,
A
I guess you
pharmacy.
could call. I guess you could call a pharmacy a bank of medicine,
Hmm.
or the store a bank of food, or
Yeah, and
anything
you're gonna rob it.
anything. Hmm
Yeah.
That's
No,
what like the weak.
also I think the
That's what the
scariest
criminal.
part of your story, Christy,
Hmm.
is the fact that it happened during finals week.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
I mean, like that alone is frightening. Like I'm already kind of not capable of handling finals week, but also I
exactly.
don't have 65 spider bites.
Yeah. It was very, very stressful. And
I'm.
I paid for myself to go to college, so then it was very devastating. Like I was going to have to retake all those classes and pay
Just thinking
for
Uh,
it.
about it's terrible.
Hmm.
Now when people complain about finals week, I'm
ugh.
like, at least you don't have 65 spider bites,
Right.
but
At least you
not
don't have
explaining why
staph
that's a thing.
infection.
Yeah,
And is it
that's
like,
fun.
Oh gosh.
didn't Jim Henson die of staph infection?
I didn't even know he was
Something.
dead, so thanks for
Yeah.
ruining.
Are you serious?
Spoiler alert,
I
he's dead.
remember where I was when I heard that. That was like so devastating to me when Manson died.
It
It's-
was. It was like ruined my childhood
I think it was staph
retroactively.
infection.
Here's the thing about me though. I am very disconnected from the world.
So you didn't know he died?
No.
Oh,
No. I found
okay.
out that Michael Jackson died like a day or two after it happened. And then I was
You're
like, "Oh,
probably the
that's
only
a
person
thing."
in America.
Probably. I found out that Osama bin Laden died because we were walking back to my apartment when I was in California, and some guy in the street just told us, and he was like, "Hey, did you hear this? It's awesome." And I was like, "Sweet, that's great."
I heard it because the reporter came and asked me like a. I was in Baltimore at the time, and this reporter's like, "Hey, this is like a person on the street. What do you think about this happening?" I'm like, "Whoa, I didn't even know that happened."
It's
Thanks for telling me.
Yeah, thanks for
Breaking
telling
news.
me.
like this is news to me.
Yes,
Usually, I
that's
have to
good.
I usually have to watch the TV to get news from you guys, but you just came straight up to me and told me. Like
I think that's
that's
how they.
service.
That's the next level of news. Really, is like I'm not gonna read or watch it. They have to come to me. I'm not going to get on my phone. Some guys come up to me like, "Hey, did you hear?" I'm like, "Wow, thanks, news person," and then just leave.
Just give him a little tip or something.
We
I
just
feel
need to go back to the town crier. Is what it is. Where I just
exactly.
walking by and I heard something. I'm like, oh, okay.
I feel like that we could probably start that business, just very personalized news reports. I mean, it wouldn't be cheap, but I feel like rich people would appreciate it.
I feel like rich people probably have people already doing that for them.
Oh, that's true.
Yes. I was a personal assistant for 7 years, and I'll tell you, yes, they do have that.
Oh. Look at me, once again coming up with a business that already exists.
But at least it has a new name and a new idea. No, I'm not. I'm just
Well,
making you feel
no,
better.
we didn't get a name for it yet. It was an old
65 spider
idea.
bites. 65 spider bites.
There we go. That's
That's a
the name
weird
for it.
name for your company. Yeah.
It's a long story. You should listen to my podcast.
Our company is just a plug for the podcast. Some people ask why it's called that. Anyway, my answer finally, the closest I've come to dying, is when I lived in Baltimore. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Wire,
Yes.
but that's a very accurate depiction of what Baltimore is like. Like, extremely. Anyway, so I almost died.
By a Best Buy?
No,
Yeah.
not Best Buy.
Was there a
Not,
phone booth?
no, I've been to that Best Buy, though.
Was there a phone booth for real? I need to
No,
know.
there's no phone booth there.
Oh, he cracked the
But
case.
this is only 4 years ago.
Oh. Hmm.
But I also have been to Woodlawn High School and that library a bunch of times, too.
So
So,
did he do it? I just need to know.
I honestly don't think you could get there in time. But,
Okay.
okay, so this is a whole other podcast here. But my personal opinion is I don't know whether Adnan did it or not, but I don't think it happened the way the state said it did.
Okay.
Does that
Alright.
make sense?
Yes, that does.
That's
It
my
makes
personal
perfect
opinion.
sense.
Anyway,
And you're an expert
so
witness because
I
you're
almost
from
died in
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
But
Yeah,
unlike
that
Haley
makes
Lee, you
sense.
didn't all the way die.
I know someone from Texas. They are also an expert witness on the Kennedy shooting
Wait,
because I've
what?
been there once.
I was
Wait,
there
hold on.
once
This is
too.
this is way more interesting than you almost dying. Tell us that story.
Of what?
Oh, I thought there was a story attached to it, but it's just a factoid. Oh,
Just a factoid.
Mhm.
never mind.
Anyway, so we were walking down the street in the sketchy part of Baltimore, which is pretty much all of it.
All of it. Yeah.
So what they do sometimes on when they have, I want to say, organized crime, is they'll have lookouts on the corner of the streets, and they kind of talk to each other, like from the corner of the streets, like when people. And so white guys walking down the street is pretty sketchy in that part of the neighborhood. And anyway, so a bunch of them came up to us and they pulled a gun on us, and I was really frightened. But then they realized that we weren't police officers, and they let us go. I had never talked quicker in my entire life than when I explained that I wasn't a police officer. And I don't think. I think the person I was with just stood there. He didn't say anything. He was like, "Oh, what was it?" Yeah, it's fine.
So,
So I never did that again.
just to contextualize this a little bit, this was when you were a missionary, right? And so you were wearing your
Yes.
white shirt and your tie, and I'm
your
assuming you
name
had
There
a
were two of
backpack
us.
on.
We were in our suits.
I'm assuming that you had a
So
backpack on.
yes.
I'm trying to maybe it's just because I'm familiar with Mormon missionaries, but like that doesn't look like a cop to me. I don't imagine cops wearing backpacks.
Well,
white guys
actually, you
in
know what? We
suits
did-
are scary.
I guess
Now that I
it's
think-
the suit thing.
We didn't have our backpacks. Now that I think about it, we were just in our suits because we
Oh,
had
okay.
a car
So
around
you
the
look
corner.
like detectives, basically.
We looked like detectives,
Yeah.
and that's like I think the 95% reason why more missionaries have name badges is because they just look at them like, oh, okay, and then just leave us. But
Yeah.
those who've never been to Baltimore, it's the scariest place ever. Well, I haven't been everywhere, but it's pretty scary because you're not just afraid of like the hoodlums, but you're also afraid of the police officers because
They're all in the
I got
tape.
hit. Yeah, well, I got hit by a police officer in the car once.
What?
They ran into us. Yeah.
Wait, tell that story.
Well, it was in a little bit nicer part of the neighborhood, but I had pulled up. I just parallel parked, and this cop was speeding the side and hit the side of our car. It wasn't really hard, like it was the front end. Um, and the cop got out and was super worried. And then he saw that we were missionaries. Like, oh, I was like, okay. And so we had to sit there for like 5 hours for they filled out a report.
Oh my gosh.
But it's really weird because like crime is so bad there that they don't pull people over for traffic crimes. You can go any speed, do anything you want with your car, and cops don't care because like, oh, I got other things I gotta worry about. I'm really not worried about whether you're going the speed limit or turning on the right lane. So I never got a ticket there, and no one ever did. I never saw anyone pulled over unless it was like super sketchy.
Dang.
So
Yeah,
when you got placed in Baltimore, did your heart die a little bit?
No, I was super excited.
Because people get to go to Mexico and all over the world, and you get Baltimore.
No, I was pretty excited. I really didn't want to go anywhere. I had to learn a language. I was just really lazy. It's pretty much what it came down to. I was like, I really don't want to think about things. So,
yeah.
but it was fun.
Going back to the first story, when the guy pulled the gun on you, what was your first thought? Like, what was the first thing you thought?
I first thought, we're not who you think we are, because I knew exactly what they thought. I knew exactly what they thought, and so I was like, oh, whoa, 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 and I'm like, I had our name badge, and it was like the longest like 3 seconds of my life, because it was only a second till I realized like, oh no, these guys aren't, and I remember him turning around and calling back, no, no, they're good guys, and they walked back away. It's like they disappeared as quickly as they appeared. But it was like really quick, and I remember the person I was with, he was just like in awe. Like he could not believe it. He was a young kid, and I was older. I was like 25, and he was like 19, and he was just rivulets of pee coming down his leg. He was a little frightened.
Oh
Did he
gosh.
try to get? Did he stay out his mission there?
Oh yeah, he did. It was just it was a fun experience. Yeah,
It was just a one-time thing.
this is one
I
time.
gotta.
Did you try to give them a card and like, hey, here, go to Mormon.org?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Here's a
I went
book.
straight back. I'm like, I'm going home. I'm done.
We're done for the day. You should get to call it a day after that.
I'm taking a personal health day. I'm going home.
I once had a gun pulled on me at work as well.
Wait, what?
Oh.
You were at work?
I worked in an apartment complex, and a guy was harassing his neighbor, and he had, remember water beds? He had decided to, take the water out, and he put the hose into her apartment and flooded her entire apartment. So we were kicking him out, and we gave him a notice to vacate, and he came in and pulled a gun on us.
Holy cow.
I got flowers for my boss, but not a day off.
I feel like you should get like a day or two off or something.
Right?
Goodness
Exactly.
gracious. I must live a very boring life because I've never had a gun pulled on me. I need to go confront more people or something. I don't know.
No, don't do it. It's scary.
Oh.
And we got a restraining order against him, and he had 3 other ones.
Oh, like he's collecting like Pokemon or something.
Oh gosh.
He had written a bad check at the Safeway and attacked the girl that worked there. Yeah.
I don't understand
nice.
how people like that like function. Like their brains are something that's completely foreign to me.
Obviously, he's not functioning.
Right.
Well, I mean, he's not like they're navigating the world in a way that's completely foreign to me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So waterbeds are weird. Why were those the
They
thing?
are.
So
Why were they a thing?
I once spent the night at a friend's house, and he's like, "Hey, we could." He had like a large bed, and he's like, "Hey, we could share it, like spend the night there." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." But it was a waterbed, so by like the first hour of sleeping in the same bed with him, we were already spooning pretty much
Right.
because we just folded into the middle. I'm like, "This is weird," and I never did that again.
Oh.
I had a waterbed.
Yeah.
How was it? I've never slept on a waterbed. Like I've sat on one and thought, man, this would be awesome, but I never got to the point of sleeping on a waterbed.
Yeah, I think you're too young. It was already like past.
My
Being a thing.
my brother's friend's parents had a waterbed, and I thought it was the coolest thing, but I never slept on it. But again, this was when I was like 10, so I thought everything was awesome.
Right. Mine was pretty cool. It was a Lamborghini waterbed.
Like a
That
car
is
one?
awesome.
Yep, looked like a car.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Were you like the coolest kid around?
I don't know.
You're like, oh no, it was just a year ago, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I did have it a little bit too long, like maybe into junior high. So that's a little nerdy.
No, I
Oh
think that's
man,
okay. I'm 23 and I still want a race car bed.
I was so jealous of people with the race car bed, and just imagine a Lamborghini water bed.
Yes.
I can't
Oh,
imagine a cooler kid.
It was so awesome.
with a Lamborghini
Especially,
poster above it.
oh, of course. Of course I had that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think
Adam,
we
I
can
think
move
it's
on
your-
to our next question now. So this last question comes from me, and it's going to Christy first. So Christy, what
Okay.
is the worst part of your favorite thing?
Um, I would have to say the um, hmm. So when I answered this question, I used the NFL as my answer, as my
So
favorite
the
thing.
NFL is your favorite thing.
Yes, football.
Okay.
And there are so many flaws with football that it's almost hard to be especially a female fan of the NFL these days. It's very,
So the
very
organization
difficult.
or the game?
Both.
Okay.
But I mean, the game not so much because you don't have the kind of issues like at a high school level. But the organizations looking away at those issues, I guess, like actively ignoring reports of concussions and um, hiding, domestic violence that's happening
Oh yeah,
to save their players and all of that. And the fact that they're a nonprofit is just disgusting to me.
that is super weird.
It's
How
really
do
weird.
they
I don't know.
how do they do that?
I don't know.
Like, I feel like a defining trait of a nonprofit is that they.
Yeah, Adam, you just trailed off there. I don't know what you said.
Yeah, I don't either. And did he
Okay,
fall
good.
off?
No, his internet connection does that sometimes.
Oh.
But it's like it's always in the middle
Hey.
of a sentence, like right when it
Okay.
gets to the important part. So it's like I think he does it on purpose.
Yeah, he didn't
It
actually
wasn't
have
on
an answer.
purpose. No, I was gonna say that the NFL being a nonprofit is really weird to me
hmm
because I feel like the defining trait of a nonprofit is that they don't make a profit.
Right.
But the NFL clearly does.
Or they take that profit and they do good with it, right?
Yeah, because I
Right.
think the definition of nonprofit is like, oh, all the money we make goes back into the company,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
which
not
is
the case.
which makes sense, but I don't think that's what's going on.
Usually the executive director of a nonprofit doesn't make millions of dollars a year either.
Yeah.
Well, I guess any company could be a nonprofit if your salary is $100 million.
Exactly.
We're not profit. Everything is salary based. I don't get any bonuses. I'm like,
Yeah. No.
yeah, I can understand that.
So, especially this year, it's been really difficult to watch.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people talking
Yeah.
about like the NFL, like this is the last season, like it's just gonna implode upon itself.
hmm And then there's I don't know about this being the last season. I
Well,
feel
that was
like
obviously a
I definitely
dramatization
think
of the
that
ending.
there
Mhm.
change coming for sure. Like I think it'll still continue to exist as an organization. I don't think that there's going to be like another football league that rises up to meet them or anything.
Right.
But yeah,
We can
I
do
think
it.
I
We
think
can
that
do it.
there are definitely big changes coming, or at least I hope there are. Like changes its name.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
more lawsuits that are coming out, there's a big concussions lawsuit and
Oh yeah.
more stuff that comes out, and the players aren't hushed anymore. Um, I think that there's going to be big changes. I hope there are
Yeah.
because it's my favorite thing. So
Mhm. Yeah. And I think that's really interesting. Like even though there's all this stuff, like it's still the favorite thing of a lot of people and a lot of sensible people. Like they're not
Mhm.
bad people because they like the NFL. but like, I mean, I'll take anybody to a game and just like watch the game, and you forget about all of those things because the game
Exactly.
itself is a very beautiful thing. Well, it's beautiful and brutal, but I think that's
Yes.
part of it, why it's so cool.
It's
So,
good. I like it.
yeah.
So who are your guys' teams since you've been from all over the place?
Hmm?
Um, I'm a Ravens fan just because Baltimore.
Okay.
I live there. Um, People in Baltimore are crazy about the Ravens. Like they think they're the best players in the world, and they're pretty good. I like watching them. This season's been okay for them, but yeah, I guess they're my favorite right now.
I followed the Colts for a while because I grew up in Indiana.
Okay.
Um, but then they won the Super Bowl, and I kind of stopped following them because I was like, let's just, I'm just not going to think about how terribly they're going to do after this because I think they did.
Yeah, the curse.
And then I really liked Peyton Manning. Then he went to the Broncos, and I was just like, I feel like my heart has been torn. So I don't know. I watch a lot of college football now, which has been really disappointing this year because BYU just I don't even want to talk about it.
So that's your college team that you like?
Yeah, yeah. I go to BYU, so I'm in
Okay.
Provo right now, and we were doing really good for the first 4 games, and then we played a
Some no
school.
some
We
no name
we played
school.
Utah State, I think. Yeah, we played Utah State, which has historically been very bad at football, and like our quarterback broke his leg, and several other of our star players were just taken out for the rest of the season, and we lost that game. And it was very pitiful and
Oh.
sad. And then I don't know, I just stopped watching the season. I was like, I can't do this anymore. We lost our
Yeah,
next 4 games, and I don't know if we've won another one.
they won one, I think. I don't know. It's good.
I'm a very fair weather person. Like if a team isn't making me happy, I'm just going to stop watching.
Then you're never disappointed. That's good.
Exactly. The key to happiness,
But
baby.
everyone secretly hates you, so
I don't know. I don't know if it's a secret.
okay. Anyway, so my answer.
Yeah, Andrew, what's
um,
what's what's the biggest flaw of your favorite thing?
so one of my favorite things is I collect old vinyl records, and yeah,
Okay.
I'm that guy. Um, and my biggest flaw with it is like I like listening to it like while I do something else. Like I listen to music, I love music. But the
Hmm.
problem is that by the very nature of the old medium, it's really hard to remember to flip sides, change it. If I want to listen to one song, I'm pretty much forced listening to the whole album. And so the biggest flaw is that I'm lazy and I've become comfortable with the very easiness of the MP3s. So yeah, that's the biggest flaw is that I'm lazy.
So
Yeah,
do
because
you
like vinyl is a very interactive medium. Like you can't just like put on headphones and walk around and listen to it.
Yeah.
so is it the sound quality that you
Yeah.
like or just having the actual physical record?
So kind of both. I like having the physical record, but I think it's the sound quality. Like I have a lot of older ones. The newer ones don't sound as good. Like they're not better than like a CD or even a really high bit rate MP3. But I like the sound quality of the older songs more.
So can't you just transfer it?
So you can, but the problem is once you take an analog sound and put it into a digital, some people will say that it loses the low end and the high end, especially when
Okay.
converting it to MP3. And this got a really nerdy conversation really quick. So, but yes, you can technically. Yes, maybe
Yeah.
I should one
I
day.
don't know. Yeah, I also have vinyl records, not as many as Andrew, but I think to me like the sound quality isn't better, it's more enjoyable, if that makes sense. Like it's not like a higher fidelity sound, but it's a sound I enjoy listening to more, if that makes sense. Because it
Mhm.
because it's analog and because it sounds a little bit different, and every once in a while there's a crack or a pop or
Yeah.
something, and there's a little bit of white noise and stuff. It's just different. So I like it. That's
Yeah,
why I
Andrew,
like it.
how old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit older. I was thinking about I turned 29 in 2 months, and I will never age again. That's the plan.
Yeah,
I'll just be 29 forever.
good one.
Just like my mom.
Yeah.
So did you grow up with records?
So kind of like my dad had a collection,
Mhm.
and I remember when I was in middle school and he brought them out, and I thought they were the coolest thing ever. But I didn't really start collecting them until I had money. So after high school and well into college. And what I would do first is I would go to thrift stores and I'd just rummage through all of their old records. And there's a lot of terrible records they made, especially during the
Okay.
50s and 60s. It's just awful music.
Are you
And I don't
saying you're
buy
not a big fan of Barbara Streisand?
no that or Barry Manilow. If you ever want a record of them, go to any thrift store in America, and there'll be like five or
Right.
six copies of each of them. It's just terrible stuff. But sometimes you find really good stuff. Like, yeah, there's some good stuff. I need to. Yeah, I have some good. I have like 300 or 400 records right now.
Oh wow.
Um, which is good. And also, it's like I would just ask people like, hey, do you guys know anyone? Like, do you have any grandparents or anything that has old records? And usually people are pretty willing to get rid of them because they don't care. But I do.
Right. They take up a lot of space.
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun. I like it. I buy a lot of them. I'll buy new ones too sometimes and old ones. I
I was
did
wondering
once.
because
Oh, go ahead.
oh sorry. I was wondering because I actually had to have records. Like tapes
Hmm.
were just kind of coming out, but my parents couldn't afford tape players. So having to live through records, I was okay with getting rid of them. But now it's like it's cool to have it again.
I remember the transition from VHS tapes to DVD. That's that's like the first media transition that I remember.
Oh, that's so
I
cute.
remember Laserdisc to VHS.
I remember that too. I remember because the Laserdiscs were like so cool. It was like the future. I was
It
like,
was awesome.
what? I could
I
watch
still
Star
don't.
Wars, the first one, in 3 discs. What?
Well, and they had some that you would flip over, and I never understood how that worked.
They have DVDs like that too, and I also don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. Science, so weird.
Science rules. Yeah. So that's your answer, Andrew. Is
Yeah.
you really like vinyl records, but also they're a pain.
Mm-hmm. But I guess it's the reason why I enjoy it is kind of the pain.
The pain feels good.
Pain. Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we can move on to my answer now that I've said a weird thing. So for this question, I decided that my favorite thing was Shakespeare. Just like in general, I really like his works. He's really good at English. There's a reason that we still read him 500 years afterwards. But also, he's kind of a terrible person. Like he cheated on his wife a lot, and he also wrote. He also wrote The Taming of the Shrew, which, if you haven't read it, is probably one of the worst depictions of how to treat other humans and women specifically that has ever been written. Like in The Taming of the Shrew, there's a scene where the main character, I don't even remember her name because I don't like the play, but she goes outside and she looks up and she says, "Wow, the sun is really bright today." And her husband, who is determined to tame her, said, "No, that's not the sun, that's the moon." And she's like, "Fine, it's the moon." And then he goes, "No, you're stupid, that's the sun." And then this old man comes along and she's like, "Hello, old man." And then her husband's like, "No, that's not an old man, that's a young woman." And she's like, "Okay, fine. Hello, young woman." And then her husband's like, "No, you're really dumb. That's an old man. Why would you say that's an old man?" And he basically just says, "The truth is what I say that the truth is, and you're just gonna have to keep up." and it's just so horrible in so many different ways. And then like there's a monologue at the very end where she like it's like she's been brainwashed by the end, and at the very end she's just like, women should be subservient to their husbands, and I'm like, why am I reading this? This is so horrible. Anyway, so Shakespeare's my favorite thing except for that part.
Oh,
But it's
sorry,
also hard to. Oh, go ahead.
I just woke
Sorry.
up, so because I was. No, I'm joking. Go ahead, Tracy.
Well, it's hard to place our modern day judgment on people like that because most of the founding fathers were terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hard to.
I mean, and that's why I'm not like I don't discount Shakespeare just in general because he was from a different time, but like I don't have to like those parts of him.
Right.
I think that, in my personal opinion, if you're a good person, you're probably not a very interesting playwright.
Right.
Or
He would have
musician,
written 2 plays.
and both of them terrible.
Right.
But I think most times that people that are really like think outside the box are usually probably pretty crazy and terrible people because they think outside the box.
And they've had a lot of life experience, right?
Oh yeah, well yeah. I think we're all terrible then.
I guess that explains Bukowski and Hunter S. Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean,
So that
because
makes sense.
especially back then, it's not like Shakespeare could learn about being terrible to women on Twitter, right? He had to go get life experience.
Or he probably
There
wasn't
was-
worried about the backlash from YouTube commenters on his post, on his video.
There wasn't like a dialogue that had opened or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
Yeah, I mean, for a while, like I tried to justify the play by saying like, oh, it's an ironic commentary on treating people like that, but I can't like it just doesn't work like that. That's just not how it is. It's just terrible, and I'm gonna have to accept that fact. So
yeah, you do.
but yeah.
Well, I think we're done with the questions.
Sorry, I thought my answer was much more interesting than you guys thought my answer was.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
The sad part is that I never realize it until after I say it.
No, it's your charm.
It's just part of who I am.
In your head, you're a lot more interesting. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, after I said it, like I think the things that I said were interesting, but I realized that you guys don't, and I never realize that other people don't until after I say things.
I thought it was interesting.
Oh, it was interesting. I'm giving you a hard time.
It was
Patron.
well thought out, educational. I liked it.
You felt really
Give it 2
passionate
stars.
about it.
Whatever. At the end of this podcast, I'm just going to go write a paper or something where I can be all nerdy about English.
Someone has to be.
I won't be judged.
Well, I think we're done. I gotta go do stuff, so finish this off.
I think we're finished. Okay, so, any more? Because I'm usually tuned out by this time because I'm tired. Now I have to read it. So thanks for listening, and huge thanks to Christy from Nerd Out Loud.
Yeah, thanks
So
for
go check out her podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you.
So where can people find your podcast?
Nerdoutloudpod.com. Let me check
Cool.
that out. I usually am also tuned out when he talks about this part.
No, that's what it is. I went there the other day.
Okay.
It's nerdoutloudpod.com
Okay.
because you guys can afford that extra little M. We can't. We're just 3g3q.co. So
Oh. Is there
Because we're
really
poor.
a price difference?
I don't
No.
know. That's just
I think someone else had it. I was just
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So don't go to 3g3q.com. It's just a weird place. Yeah. So if you were entertained, you can go to 3g3q.co to /subscribe. In order to subscribe, you can subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher or subscribe to it. You can ask us questions at 3g3q.co/ask. and we'll probably answer them on the podcast because coming up with questions is hard, as evidenced by my horrible question this week. And
Whatever.
you could also call or text the number 760-881-4382 and leave a voice message and ask us a question that way. So yeah,
that's
so
if
you
you
should
wanna
guys
get
should do that. You
heard.
could
Over the
Right.
podcast, we could probably record that and put it on there.
if you want your voice on our podcast, we'll probably put it on there. And if you want to email us because we've said something stupid or we said something amazing, either one
Or
of those,
offensive.
you can
Let us
email
know. We don't know.
Yeah, because we don't. If we're offensive and we don't know it, then we can't stop doing that. You can email us at 3guys3questions@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure. I hope that's
I think
what it is. It's not written down. I'm just doing that from
Oh,
memory.
is it 3G3Q at Gmail, or is it 3 guys
No,
3
I
questions?
think it's 3guys3questions. You could probably just
Okay.
email both, and one of them will go through. So, anyway, that's our show for this week. Thanks for listening. So as our outro, where I can be found at that Adam Kid on Twitter, and I will welcome your follow. Sometimes I say funny things. I don't usually nerd out about English stuff as much on Twitter because there's only 140 characters. Where can our wonderful listeners find you guys?
Oh, well, I'm at @a_SAV. I'm on there pretty much all the time. So I'm pretty, yeah. Follow me.
And I'm Kissy Eyes, KISSIEYES on Twitter.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Christy. We loved having you. Thanks for joining us, Andrew. You were
I'm
adequate.
here. I'm here every week.
Your presence was normal.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah. Cool. And that's our show. I don't